It's the Passover. In homes around the world, families gather to a table and share a Seder meal as they celebrate this holiday. But this gathering is not simply about eating or fellowship. It is to remember the faithfulness of their God. The same prayers are spoken, and the same traditions are followed, and the same story is told. Because this is the story of their witness. They testify every year to what God has done for them. This is the story of their ancestors, suffering as slaves under Pharaoh's rule, trapped, beaten, and crying out for deliverance. It's the story of a people who once had no home, a people who were lost until God Himself intervened. At the time of Jesus, for more than 1,000 years, the Jewish people had celebrated that special night when everything changed. During the Seder, Jewish people don't simply remember the past, they witness it again. Every Passover, fathers tell their children, "We were slaves in Egypt and the Lord set us free." Not they, but we. Not their story, ours. They would eat unleavened bread because it reminded them that their ancestors had no time to wait for the dough to rise. They would dip bitter herbs into salt water, tasting the suffering of slavery and the flavor of tears. They lifted and drank 4 cups of wine, each one reminding them of God's promises. I will bring you out. I will rescue you. I will redeem you, and I will take you as my own. Every year they are witnessing the faithfulness of God anew. The Jewish people look back to the night when the blood of a lamb saved them. And then they look forward to the promise of a greater deliverance to come. This is not just a meal. It is a declaration, a testimony that is passed from generation to generation. After 400 years of slavery, they had been set free. Tonight, we will also look back to the most important Seder meal that has ever taken place. We will look back at the table set for a ceremony of remembrance, a table where Jesus and His disciples sat for their Last Supper. Many who were there thought they were simply remembering the past, not knowing what was about to take place before them. On that night, those seated at this table would become witnesses to the greatest redemption the world had ever known. For centuries, they had broken the bread. For centuries, they had poured the wine. For centuries, they had told the same story. For centuries, the same words had been spoken. But on this night, the night of the Last Supper, Jesus said what had never been spoken before. I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. What was happening in this moment for Jesus? Why had He earnestly desired to have this Seder take place? It was because His moment had come. Since the beginning of time, He had seen this night approaching. As a child, He would have sat at tables like this, witnessing the bread being broken and the cups being lifted. And now, He sits here one last time, and He knows what is coming. In just a few hours, His body will be bound, and soon He will be handed over, betrayed by one sitting at that very table. He knew that he would stand alone as others mocked him, and he would feel the weight of sin crushing him. Even so, he took the bread that had always reminded them of suffering. This is my body, broken for you. The disciples are sitting in stunned silence. This is not how the Seder goes. This is not what the script says. We're supposed to be talking about the Lamb. Jesus continues. He lifts the cup, the third cup of 4, the cup named redemption. This is my blood, the blood of the new covenant, poured out for the forgiveness of sins. What is this? What was Jesus saying? Jeremiah had spoken of a new covenant, one that wasn't like the old one, but one that would be written on hearts. Now at last, Jesus was going to pour it out, not in ink, but in blood. Isaiah had talked about the coming Messiah, that he would be pierced for our transgressions and crushed for our iniquities. The Passover lamb would be broken, and now his body would be given for them. The disciples were witnessing something that would change the course of history forever. They were witnesses to a new covenant that was being formed in that very moment. They were witnesses to the Lamb of God, not just remembered, but standing before them. Not everyone understood this moment. Maybe some did, but Jesus knew what was happening, and he wanted them to know what he was doing. Soon I will be led like a lamb to the slaughter. Soon I will be lifted up for all to see. Soon my blood will cover the doorposts of all who believe, and death will pass over them forever. After this night, you won't just remember me. You will testify, and you will be my witnesses. At this moment, the light of the world was about to go out. Now we find ourselves in the garden, beneath the shadow of olive trees, the weight of the world now pressing upon him. The air was heavy, and the night itself seemed to tremble as he fell to the ground. This was the beginning of the greatest exchange in history.